Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to Digimon Adventure 2020, Episode 18. So last we left off, our heroes defeated the enemy Digimon, but a ominous timer began counting down at the very end of the episode. I don't know what's going on here, but this is going to be probably not great. It's again very ominous, very frightening, and apparently it's happening in the real world too. So it's like probably not a good thing. I don't know exactly what it's like implying, but I guess we'll find out this episode. So yeah, I'm very interested to see where this goes. Like this arc we've had post Ultimate Evolutions has been really interesting with the fake Tokyo inside the digital world and all. So there's really not much of anything else I have to say regarding this. So we're just going to get on with it. So when the redirect fades to black, pause, or when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, yeah. I blanked for a second there. That being said, thank you for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. Okay, and we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, easily one of the best episodes of the series so far, alongside the Pixie. No. Wow, my mind is blanking. Mimi's Ultimate Evolution episode. My mind is blanking on the Digimon's name right now. It's not Fairy. It's not Piximon. I can't. My mind is completely blanking on that right now. But yeah, that episode, and then of course the episode when they get to the ruin, not ruins, the I guess they're ruins, but the fortress. That's what the word I was thinking of. Episodes like that. This was definitely up there with those. So yeah. We got a real look at Devimon here. Not like a full 100% look, but we got to see more of his face. He actually actively like, how would you put it? Actively attacked them, but that's not the word I'm thinking of. Confronted. That's the word. He actively confronted Tai and Yamato. Not the others. The others were already flung off to wherever, already separated. But he confronted Tai and Yamato and attacked them. And it was revealed that he's behind everything, which we, as viewers, already knew, obviously. Yeah, that's fun, though. And kind of has the, like, what you would expect for his mindset to be. Light his only exists to be swallowed by darkness and shit like that, and resistance will just equal death. Yeah, it's like that's what you would expect. Devimon, though, handling this and pulling all the strings and even appearing to them like using the desert sand and everything, it's like I really like that. We see that he's not actually there. He's not actually like coming to them directly, but he's more of like creating this like illusory version of himself within the sand to still confront them. It really feels like just a good move for Devimon. And the funniest part is that Devimon is definitely our main bad guy right now, our main villain of this arc. But Nidhoggmon is just undoubtedly stronger. because Nidhoggmon is a mega level that even Omnimon had a little bit of trouble with. Again, as I've said in past reactions, Devimon is a champion level, 2 levels below Nidhoggmon. The big thing that Devimon has going for him, and that still makes him a compelling villain despite this, is the fact that he is intelligent enough to be pulling the strings and controlling Digimon at a higher level than him, and his presence. Like, it was very much like shown in past episodes and stuff, but especially in this one, you see Devimon has this presence to him where he just exudes this really intense, frightening energy that makes him feel just so much more exciting to watch for a villain. It's just like, when you think of some of the best villains, they just have that presence to them. They have that specific feeling that it's like, oh yeah, this guy, just looking at them, just not just from the design wise, but just looking at the way they carry themselves, the way they talk, all of that kind of stuff. It's like, yeah, you can tell how evil they are and how good at being evil they are. Um, like when you think of some of the best villains, they all have that kind of presence to them. It just makes them stand out. It makes them really like feel exciting and important as villains. You think of the likes of James Moriarty from the Sherlock Holmes stories. Um, you think of Sauron from the Lord of the Rings Tolkien stories. Or really almost any villain from the Tolkien stories, to be completely honest. Smaug, even. Smaug has phenomenal presence. um, you think of just all this kind of stuff. The Master in Doctor Who. A great villain has that presence that just makes them stand out. It just makes them feel like this is something big. And so far, like the villains we got in the series don't really have that presence to them. It's like, yeah, they're evil, but they almost feel like they're mindless evil, which at some points is fine. And they serve their purpose in what we've had the story. Like when you have Tyrannomon and Metal Tyrannomon, you have the likes of Kawagamon, you have, or Grand Kawagamon as well, and everything else we've seen in these episodes. And it's like, even Nidhoggmon. It's like, oh yeah, these are really powerful evil Digimon, but it's like, that's it. They don't really have any big presence to them. But then you have Devimon, who's been shown throughout, and it's like, he's like, he just exudes this presence. And I really think the only other the evil Digimon that had any sort of interest factor like that was Andromon from the Lilymon, by the way. It wasn't Pixiemon. It was a Lilymon. I think there is a Pixiemon, though. From the Lilymon episode, Andromon had a presence to him, too, but a completely different kind. While Devimon has, like, this evil mastermind presence to him, Andromon's was more of, like, because you know he's being controlled, and especially at the end where he actually shows regret for his actions, it's like, oh, you actually feel sad for him. Which was definitely an aspect in the original series as well. But yeah, it's like it was a completely different kind of presence where you know he's being controlled, but at the same time, he also has this creepy air to him, and it's like it's different from the maniacal evil mastermind that Devimon is. So yeah, there's a different feel to it than that. But Devimon, it's just like, despite only being a champion level, just has this presence and this just intense, like, evil exuding from him at every point. It's just like, oh, it's just so good. It was great to see Omnimon again, as I said in the reaction. Omnimon's use here was honestly perfect. we were talking, like, everyone pretty much who has been watching this and reviewing it and stuff has been talking about how, like, when Omnimon first appeared at the beginning of the series, it was like this massive surprise. But people were saying, like, oh, it's probably going to end up being like this case where Omnimon is just brought in on these rare occasions as like, kind of like a last resort thing. So it's not going to be all the time or anything. It's only going to be like this big moment every so often, as, like, again, a last resort kind of situation. And that's what they did here. Omnimon was, like, I believe it was episode 2 that Omnimon, well, I think it was episode 2 and 3, I think, that Omnimon was in at the beginning of the series. And so, even if we're counting for episode 3, then this is still like 15 episodes later. And again, it's after all of this stuff they've already gone through. There's this big current storyline happening with Nidhoggmon and everything going on with the real world. And so the big threats here, the big enemy with Nidhoggmon, it's like, it's a mega level Digimon. You need something stronger than even the ultimate levels we've had. So there was really only two options: either have one or more of our heroes digivolve into their mega forms, which, as I've said in the past, I think they need to save that. I think that's the one form they do need to definitely save for now, and not just rush into like they have with the champion and ultimate levels. Um, or the only other option is to bring in Omnimon, because Omnimon is a mega level, but is also a DNA digivolution between two other Digimon. And we've seen Omnimon before, and we know that it's kind of like being built as this last resort, super powerful thing. So yeah, it makes sense to have it here, and that's what they went with. So yeah. um, but yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. I really liked how powerful Nidhoggmon was. I liked the build up they were doing with TK and Kari, and I really just love Devimon at the end of this episode. It's just, I can't get over that. Um, but yeah, how separated are our heroes going to be? That's the big question now. We know Yamato and Tai are together. Are the others all together, or are they like separated either on their own or in groups as well? Because we have Izzy, Joe, Sora, and Mimi. So are they in like are they split off into groups, or are they all on their own and they all have to kind of reunite while being on their own? I think that would actually be a good decision here, because see, Matt, Yamato, and Tai, they're the strongest by far. That's not even debatable. They're the strongest of our Digidestined, and obviously they have Omnimon. So yeah, Devimon would want to definitely separate them out, because they're basically the leaders of the group. Let's be honest. So at that point, it's like, as long as they're separated from the others aren't a threat to Devimon. But at the same time, if the others are teamed up as well, they could prove to be stronger than you would think. So it would actually, I feel, make more sense for Devimon to have separated them all, to where it's like, outside of Tai and Matt, who are just alone in the desert together and really have like no one else around, and they're going to be distracted trying to find everyone else anyway. The others being completely separated to where each one is alone makes them a lot easier to pick off, I would presume, in Devimon's mind. And at the same time, it would also be a good idea from a story perspective by having each of these Digidestined working to um, just basically find their own strength without anyone else being around, without like having this feeling of needing to protect each other necessarily, or this feeling of just having the confidence thanks to uh, the others encouraging them, just by allowing them to do it on their own with no one else there, it would honestly mean a big deal. It would it would allow for some really great character growth. I'm really hoping that they don't start bringing in megas at this point though, because they very easily could. Um, because now that everyone's separated again, obviously the main goal is going to be to get together. So we're going to have episodes focusing on the different characters, and it's like if you bring in megas now, it's going to feel still way too early. We'll see how it goes, though. We'll see how it goes. I am very excited for this, though, because this series just continues to prove itself to be just amazing, honestly. Um, but yeah, we'll just kind of take it from there and hope for the best for the future. Tell me in the comments below what you thought of this episode of Digimon Adventure 2020, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.